And you're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Starbucks from Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. It's been a long time since Texas fans have cheered for their team here. It's the Longhorns' first game at DKR in 6 weeks. But it's been a lot longer since a Vanderbilt team played a game in Austin. This is the Commodores' first visit to the Texas capital since 1903. A big game for both teams. Major college football playoff and SEC implications as number 9 Vanderbilt takes on 20th ranked Texas. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough along with Greg McElroy. Delighted to have you with us. Certainly these two programs to study. In contrast, Texas, the 4th winningest program of all time. Vanderbilt has the 10th most losses in the history of FBS football, but that certainly doesn't matter this season. The quarterback's an interesting contrast as well. Arch Manning, out of the first family of American football, a top recruit, the Heisman favorite when the season started. Diego Pavia, as he said, grew up without a whole lot. A long road for him to get here, and right now he's in better shape, both as a team and in the Heisman race.
Well, with Arch Manning, though, it was tough early. I mean, the first 3 games were a challenge, and after the bye week, we saw growth, we saw progress, and it culminated with his best quarter as a starter last week on the road against Mississippi State. This staff feels like the adversity he faced earlier in the season will benefit him long term, and he can pick up some of the momentum created in the 4th quarter down the stretch last week. It's for Diego Pavia. He's always been doubted, but he always makes plays. He's a young man that will never quit on a play. He'll never quit on a snap, and he makes it very difficult on every defense he plays to defend him for 60 minutes. But he's got to be smart against this Texas defense.
This Coach Clark Lee says he's the best player in the country. Steve Sarkisian leads the Horns onto the field. They might have needed a map to find DKR today. They're happy to be home. Down on the field, here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia really embracing the differences between these two programs, telling us this is a duel of opposites. They are the 5-star players who want for nothing, and we are the 0 stars who no one wanted. And Pavia really uses that doubt as fuel. And if you look at his locker, you'll know why. He has this preseason ranking of SEC quarterbacks taped up in his locker, looks at it every day, and you'll notice the preseason favorite for the Heisman, Arch Manning, near the top of that list, Pavia at the very bottom. And he told us this game an opportunity to prove everyone wrong, Sean.
ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. There's the top 6 in the SEC entering today's play. The 2 undefeated teams in conference action, Texas A&M and Alabama, are both idle today. So as these 2 teams, Vanderbilt and Texas, go head-to-head, there'll be one fewer, one-loss team. Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns know one more loss, and essentially their hopes of playing for a conference title and being back in the college football playoff for the 3rd year in a row are out the window. Vanderbilt won the toss and deferred. Steve Sarkisian elected to receive the opening kickoff, and it's a touchback from Brock Taylor. So here comes Texas with Arch Manning at quarterback. It was a question during the week. He left their come from behind win at Mississippi State last week in overtime, was in concussion protocol for most of the week, but cleared last night. Manning 61% completions. They've had difficulty protecting him, and they've had a running game that has really struggled. So those factors have put even more pressure on the first-year starter Manning in his 3rd year in the program, facing a very solid Vanderbilt defense. Manning comes out slinging to Ryan Wingo down the far sideline. He's going to go all the way on the first play of the game, 75 yards and a Texas touchdown. Shades of last week when Wingo had a huge play on the first possession of the game for Texas on his way to a career high 184 yards receiving. And here's Mason Shipley for the extra point. And it's 7-0.
Well, it's a great job by Arch Manning recognizing the pressure that's coming off the edge. It's also a terrific job on the outside, the way it's blocked. And then all Wingo has to do is beat Patterson, the linebacker, who's working from inside out. He makes a miss, and he's out the gate. Hurd takes a poor angle, and nobody's going to catch him. Just an outstanding start for the Longhorns.
Couple of fatal missed tackles for the Vanderbilt defense. Last week in Starkville, Texas scored on an Arch Manning run less than 2 minutes into the game, which was set up on a 62-yard pass play to Wingo on a similar play down the right sideline. Well, Clark Lee said one of the keys to the game for Vanderbilt is jump on Texas early and stay on top of them. This was not the start he envisioned. Fair catch made on the kickoff by Trey Richardson. So here comes Vandy, down by 7, 11 seconds in. Led by Diego Pavia, the graduate student from Albuquerque, New Mexico. 16th in the country with that 69% completion percentage. That's up 10% from a year ago with a better offensive line in front of him and more weapons around him.
And the big key for him in this game is to be smart, be patient. This Texas defense forces you to be patient. If you try to play and try to do too much, they will make you pay. So be efficient and don't try things that aren't there.
Cedric Alexander opens as the running back. They start with a pass out to the perimeter. Richardson the reception. And a gain of 6 on first down for the Commodores.
This is an elite Texas defensive front against the run. So early in this game, I would anticipate Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator, really try to attack the perimeter where there might be a little more room.
Alexander again stacked up short of the first down. This is a strength against strength. Vanderbilt averaging 38.4 points per game. That would be the school record if it stands. And Texas giving up only 14.6 per game, 10th best in the country, despite the fact that Mississippi State scored 38 against them in Starkville last week.
It's a great defense that excels rushing the quarterback in obvious passing situations. So a big key for Vanderbilt is to be efficient on first and second down so you can get into third and manageables like 3rd and 2.
Alexander powers ahead for the first down. It's a homecoming for the young man they call Seti. He's from Austin. Read an article in the local paper here during the week that referred to his high school career at LBJ here in Austin as legendary. And he has a lot of family members here today. As Greg mentioned when we had the Vanderbilt game at Alabama a few weeks ago, where's that 28 for his idol Adrian Peterson? He's their leading rusher. As a running back, Pavia their leading rusher in total. Colin Simmons the pressure. And Texas has the ball inside the 30.
Rolling on the field is a fumble recovered by Texas. First down.
And a great job by Colin Simmons at the end of the line of scrimmage. He's watching in the backfield the whole way, and the mesh happened so quickly. The read from Pavia happened so fast that he can't quite get it up into the belly. Instead, it's out away from his body where Simmons can swat it with that right arm and dislodge the football.
Simmons came up with the football as well. Sophomore from Dallas. And an awful start for Vanderbilt. Texas a touchdown on its first play. And Vandy a turnover on its first possession. And the Horns in business at the Commodores 29. It's a flea flicker. Ryan Niblett taken down at the 16 by Marlon Sewell. I'm not sure what you call that play. It had a lot of stuff going on for a 13-yard pickup.
Just a little jet sweep, reverse flea flicker, throwback screen. You know, it's no big deal. A little wordy, but well executed. And actually, looked like Niblett was going to score based on the initial reception and where all the Vanderbilt players were. So good pursuit to actually drop him instead of allowing the touchdown.
Steve Sarkisian said his offense gained a lot of confidence from the come-from-behind win last week. They had their best week of practice offensively. And right on cue, a slip. And Travion Wisner with Brandon Fontenette there. Now they're going to call it an incomplete pass.
Is an incomplete pass. Second down.
Wisner, an excellent receiver. They've not had good health at the running back position. Both Wisner and C.J. Baxter have been battling hamstring injuries all year. Sarkisian is the play caller. And this play is 2nd and 10. Manning throws over the head of his intended receiver, Emmett Mosley. Fontenette nearest in coverage. Here's 3rd down and 10.
And the edge defenders for Vanderbilt will provide a lot of pressure today. These tackles have been the stable part of this offensive line, but Stephen Gregory, the defensive coordinator that you just saw, he believes in the pass rush and the personnel they have to create disruption up front against an offensive line on the interior that has had some struggles.
They've not been good on 3rd down, just 39%. Big part of the problem, 3rd and long, and here's another one of those. They faced the most in the SEC. 3rd down and 7+. And this one's longer with the delay of game penalty.
Steve Sarkisian emphasized in our meeting yesterday how this defensive staff does a great job of creating NFL looks for the offense, which means they feature personnel. They have players that are specialists at certain aspects of the game, on 3rd down, in coverage, in the slot, in the pass rush against certain matchups. So it'll be a matchup-based game, and the team that wins the matchups will have great success.
Ryan Niblett moves to the hip and then continues in motion. Manning faked it to him. He's under duress, throws back across the middle dangerously in the direction of Mosley, and it falls incomplete.
A little pressure up the middle that forced Manning back, and it looked like for a moment he had Mosley, but just got there a little too late. But dangerous throw there and a good stand by the doors after sudden change to force the field goal.
So it's Mason Shipley on to try a 39-yard field goal. He's had an excellent season, 12 out of 15, transfer from Texas State. And that one is good inside the right upright. Great start for Texas. Steve Sarkisian thought his team would play better on offense today. They scored on their first play from scrimmage. There's the Taco Bell Live Más student section. Only one student section can claim the title of Live Más Student Section of the Year. Who will take home the trophy this year? Large public university, the University of Texas at Austin, 55,000 students. They haven't had a home game here since September 20th against Sam Houston. Their game in the Red River rivalry in Dallas counted as a Texas home game. They alternate years with the tickets split. Mason Shipley to kick off. 10-0 Texas. And it'll be another fair catch made by Trey Richardson. Impact players are brought to you by Fairfield by Marriott.
Well, Eli Stowers, the tight end for Vanderbilt, very important in this game, knowing that Texas is without their outstanding safety, Michael Taft. And then for Texas, we've already seen Colin Simmons forcing the fumble on the first possession and recovering it. But Anthony Hill off the ball, probably the best off-the-ball linebacker in college football, completely took over the game last week down the stretch. So those two guys can destroy your offense if you let them.
Simmons in the Texas defense now with 30 sacks for the season. Only Texas A&M has more around the country with 32. Diego Pavia throwing it deep, and it's out of bounds. Trying to get it to the speedy Trey Richardson, a transfer from Division II Washburn in Kansas. Kobe Black had the coverage. Tim Beck is the offensive coordinator for the Commodores.
And that's a bit of an example of Diego Pavia maybe being a bit too aggressive, a little too amped up here early in the game. You have a turnover on your last possession. You try to go for the big play downfield as opposed to hitting the open guy underneath for 7 or 8 yards. So he needs to calm down a bit and manage the game.
Short set, plenty of time. Takes off running with some room. And a first down. Jelani McDonald made the tackle for a Texas defense playing without their outstanding safety Michael Taft today, sidelined after thumb surgery.
And a great job here by Diego Pavia. Nothing's there in the quick game. It's well defended by Texas's secondary, so he takes off. A huge point of emphasis for Texas's defensive line is you have to be aware of where Diego Pavia is throughout the entire game. He's very good in scramble situations. If you're not good in your pass rush lanes, he'll take off like he did right there to create a nice play.
He's their leading rusher for the season. Now with 462 yards. A lot of that on the scramble. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage. Pavia weaving through the traffic. Jump pass. He might have been across the line of scrimmage. It's caught by Cedric Alexander. He's inside the 30 of Texas. There is a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. Xavier Filsamy made the tackle.
This is going to be very frustrating for Vanderbilt's offense. Looked like an illegal formation that might wipe out a big play.
They've already brought the ball back. It's definitely against Clark Lee's team. Penalties have been an issue.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the offense. Illegal formation on the offense, more than 4 in the backfield. That penalty will be declined. Illegal forward pass on the offense, number 2. The passer was beyond the line of scrimmage when he threw the pass. That's a 5-yard penalty from the spot of the pass. It is a loss of down, second down.
They had 8 penalties last week against Missouri. 6 of them were on the offense. They were fortunate to win that game against the Tigers. They were outgained by 111 yards. Missouri had more than 36 minutes time of possession. Usually Vandy tries to control the clock. But they beat Missouri 17-10, survived a last play Hail Mary that came up just short of the goal line. And another stoppage, this time before the snap.
Officials timeout to verify the spot.
Lee Hedrick is the referee.
If you look back at the penalties against Missouri too, a lot of them were along the offensive line. They called it their sloppiest performance of the year, and that's the group that sets the tone.
Correctly enforced from the spot of the foul. It is second down.
And if you look at it, it wiped out massive plays and wiped out a touchdown run from Diego Pavia. Several were in plus territory and scoring opportunities that wiped out opportunities. So very important to play smart and disciplined along the offensive line for Vandy's offense.
Same 5 have started every game up front for Coach Lee. Matter of fact, that fivesome played every snap on offense. There weren't a lot of them last week because of Missouri's ball control. They played 45 snaps. Now wide it goes. McKylan Young up and over, but with a first down across midfield. 17-yard gain. Derek Williams Jr. sent him airborne.
And this is a good job. You're going to see a little bit of a pick right here at the second level. You're going to see right out in the flat, he can't really get through it. And as a result, it creates a big play. Nobody leverages the ball. He's out the sideline for a nice conversion.
Young had a huge play last week, an 80-yard touchdown. Biggest play of the game in that win against Missouri. Out of the pistol. Young again. Chopped down at the 42-yard line. Some depth at running back for Tim Beck. MK Young's a nice number 2. Sat out last year with eligibility issues after a transfer from New Mexico State. Is studying to become a pastor. They're happy to have him back. Young man of very high character. He stays in the game with Cedric Alexander on the sideline for 2nd down and 4. Young again, knocked down just shy of the line to gain, about a yard short of it, by Anthony Smith.
What makes this offense so difficult to defend for Tim Beck is they create hesitation defensively. They have jet sweeps and motions, and they adjust the strength of the formation with pre-snap shifts. Plus, you always got to account for the quarterback run. So all the movement and eye violations that can be created are very tough on the defense.
They've been an excellent 3rd down team all year, 52.5%, 9th best in the country. Large part because it's usually 3rd and short like this one. There's a flag down. Cedric Alexander back in the game, did not get to the 1st down marker. And it's a holding penalty against the Commodores.
Holding on the offense, number 53. 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot. 3rd down.
Another penalty on the offensive line. This is on Jordan White, one of the transfers who's enhanced that offensive line over from Liberty.
And you're going to see as he pulls around to the left side, he engages with Colin Simmons. As Colin Simmons has plenty of room, and that left arm grabs the shoulder and turns the defender inside. So a good call.
From 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 11. Pavia flushed by Simmons and forced to throw it away. And Simmons woofing in the face of Diego Pavia. He has been all over the Vanderbilt quarterback here in the first half of the first quarter.
I think Pavia will give it right back, though, but those are the down and distances that if you're Vanderbilt, you must avoid. Texas has had 30 3rd down and 11 pluses this year. They've allowed just 1 conversion.
And the very dangerous Ryan Niblett back to receive the punt from Nick Haberer. Niblett 2 punt returns for touchdowns this season, including the enormous one to tie the game in the 4th quarter at Mississippi State. Last week they were down 17 with under 10 minutes to go. He also brought one back for a score against Oklahoma. He got tackled by Jalen Lackey. 45-yard punt, 8-yard return. How do you do? 10-0 Texas early on in Austin.
ABC College Football is presented by the Starbucks Coffee Company and in part by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet.
Texas off to a 10-0 start, their first game here at DKR since September 20th. On a mostly sunny day, temperature in the low 60s. It'll get up to the low 70s. They're 22-1 when scoring first since the start of the 2023 season. The only loss was in the SEC title game to Georgia at the end of last season. Texas went on to the college football playoff, the only team that's been in the college football playoff each of the last 2 years. Out wide to Wingo, and why not? Taken out of bounds by Mark Davis, but a 13-yard gain. Wingo to the sideline. They're looking at his right hand.
So far, he's been so good after the catch. I mean, making guys miss. That's now 2 big missed tackles by Hurd, the outstanding strong safety for the Doors, but the right hand being looked at.
Now it's out to Emmett Mosley. He got hit pretty hard, stayed on his feet for an additional yard. C.J. Hurd was there with Nick Rinaldi. 6 yards from Mosley, who caught the game-winning touchdown in overtime in Starkville last week. Come from behind win that saved their season. Wisner escaped C.J. Hurd behind the line of scrimmage. They had a chance to drop it for a loss. Instead, it goes to the 50-yard line for a 13-yard gain and a first down.
And that's now 3 missed tackles by Hurd, who's been so good all season in the back end for Vandy, but everything right now for Texas is going, and all of it is outside the tackles. It's all on the perimeter, attacking the Vanderbilt secondary outside, where they have had some vulnerabilities this year.
Wisner again. Still fighting, and finally the whistle sounds. It'll give them a mark just inside the 48. They certainly think the running game can be better. Wisner rushed for more than 1,000 yards last year, but he's missed 3 games this year with a hamstring. C.J. Baxter returned last week at Mississippi State after missing the previous 4, also with a hamstring.
And those two should be one of the best duos in the SEC. It's just with various injuries, they've never been at full strength all season.
Manning, plenty of time, throws it out wide to the 43-yard line. Jordan Washington, one of their tight ends, with his 7th catch of the year. Redshirt freshman from Houston.
I love the plan so far from Steve Sarkisian. They're getting the ball out of Arch Manning's hands quickly. They are not really attacking Vanderbilt towards the strength that's on the interior along the defensive line. They're testing the secondary, and so far finding success.
They've tweaked the offensive line a little bit this week. Connor Robertson starting at center. Cole Hudson has moved to left guard. They gave Manning enough time to fire it to DeAndre Moore. Again, shaky tackling by the Vanderbilt Commodores. Allow for extra yardage. It winds up as 14 yards, and Texas is going to go quickly to the line of scrimmage.
And this is a good job by Arch standing in there and absorbing the pressure. He gets hit right as he delivers this ball, but it's accurate enough to allow yards after catch.
C.J. Baxter now in at running back. Another missed tackle, another run down the sideline. Parker Livingston. An 11-yard gain. Arch Manning to his roommate Livingston, a redshirt freshman from Lucas, Texas.
And it's going to be a really long game if your best players for Vanderbilt don't make plays. C.J. Hurd all season long has been one of the best defenders at safety in the SEC, and so far he's having a very difficult time tackling these Texas wide receivers and running backs.
Baxter again, swung down shy of the 10 by Marlon Sewell. A 7-yard run and everything clicking here in the first quarter for the Longhorns.
That offensive line, they've made some tweaks They slide the center, Cole Hudson, out to left guard. The center now, Connor Robertson, stepping in. They feel like they've solidified the interior. Now the offensive line can lean in the run game as they get close to the goal line.
Baxter, some good push by that offensive line. And another first down. Nick Brooks, the talented true freshman, had been starting at left guard. They think he's going to be an outstanding player. But now with Hudson at left guard, a little more experience in the middle of that offensive line. Kyle Flood, who coaches the O-line, thinks the tackles have been solid all season long.
And with the young player at any position, you're going to have high highs and low lows. So while with Brooks in the lineup, you might have a higher ceiling, your floor is a lot higher with Hudson at guard and Robertson at center.
Manning, lots of running room should he decide to do it. Waits for somebody to get open, and it's a touchdown. C.J. Baxter. Impressive drive, 5 minutes to go, 83 yards in 10 plays. Manning was 6 for 6 for 56 yards and the touchdown. First touchdown of the year for C.J. Baxter, and the extra point good by Mason Shipley.
This is where Arch Manning has grown the most. Poise and patience. Takes his time, threatens the line of scrimmage, keeps his eyes downfield, and finds Baxter on the scramble drill. And what a start for the Longhorns.
Since the start of the fourth quarter last week in Starkville, when they were down by 17 points to Mississippi State, Texas has outscored their opponents 48-7, 24-7 in the fourth quarter to force the overtime. They scored the only 7 points in the OT, and now 17-0 out of the gate today. Trey Richardson did not reach the 25. They intentionally don't kick off touchbacks, Texas, because they cover so well. An uncharted territory this season for Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, down 17-0.
And this is a real challenge with their style of attack too. They are a ball control offense that wants to shrink the game, and they're not built to erase massive deficits. They're a run-first organization, and having to resort to obvious passing situations is not advantageous against this Texas pass rush.
And I think there's plenty of time for them to continue to play their game. They just need to play it better. Still in the first quarter. Pavia on the run, caught far sideline. Junior Sherrill out to the 38 for a first down. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, Vanderbilt offensive line coach Chris Klinakis trying to calm his group down, pointing to those penalties and mental mistakes and lack of communication. He called them unacceptable, said we can't afford those penalties against this defensive front. We can't afford 3rd and longs. He told them keep fighting, keep swinging, but play smarter. And Vandy's O-line very frustrated with their own play right now, guys.
That was a frustration last week against Missouri. Tigers had the upper edge along the line of scrimmage. Wide open receiver Richie Hoskins, the former walk-on, now a team captain, transfer from Division III Middlebury for a 17-yard gain.
And I like so far what Tim Beck has done these last couple plays. Moving the pocket, getting Diego Pavia outside to change the launch point so those pass rushers don't know exactly where it's coming from. I think that's going to continue to pay dividends as long as they're moving him around laterally when he's finding players downfield.
Gain of 22 on the completion to Hoskins. Pavia steps into the throw, back shoulder throw, and an incomplete pass. Intended for Alexander. There's a flag down.
On the defense, number 92 was lined up in the neutral zone. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot with a replay of first down.
92 is Colton Vosick, sophomore from here in Austin, out of the high school powerhouse Westlake.
Looked like he's up here lined up top, and the nose of the football there on the 40-yard line. Does look like that white helmet is in the neutral zone.
Seemed a little nitpicky to me. I have a feeling you can call that many times over the course of the game. Commodores need it. They're at the 35. Pavia. Listed at 6 feet. Realistically, he's a couple of inches shorter than that, but powerfully put together. 207 pounds, tough guy, state champion wrestler in high school.
Said that his body feels much better at this point of the season than last year. He said they expected to be in this situation, playing meaningful games in November. That's where they kind of fell off last year. They're deeper, and they've adjusted his training regimen accordingly so that he's peaking in November as opposed to earlier in the year.
That's the end of the first quarter.
That is the end of the first quarter.
A happy return to Austin for Bevo and the Texas Longhorns. Arch Manning and company up 17-0. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Back here in Austin, Texas, Vanderbilt down 17-0. Coach Lee, what does your offense need to do to get some points on the board here?
Well, I like the way this drive has gone. Obviously, protecting the football is going to be huge. We need points on this drive. I mean, there's not a lot to like about that first quarter in all three phases. So we need to kind of hit the reset button here and just play our game. I mean, tackle better on defense, obviously, and offensively protect the ball. We got time. We'll be okay, but it's important we finish with some points here.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
He's not going to like the way the second quarter began. MK Young dropped for a loss by the two stars of that defense, Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill. Loss of 4.
Possible 4-down territory here for Vanderbilt, so you don't have to drop back and throw it. If you like the run numbers, you can do that, but everything they do in the run game needs to be faster hitting. It can't be slower developing like that play. Texas is too athletic up front. They'll drop you for a loss.
Alexander gets sent in motion wide to the left. Pavia, quick strike for a first down. Beautiful throw to Junior Sherrill for an 11-yard gain to the 25-yard line.
And this was nice, too, because it looked like Anthony Hill, number 0, might get out underneath that slant, but because of the quickness that Pavia is able to get the ball out with, he beats the defender with an accurate throw.
Sherrill had a good game last year against Texas in Nashville. A 3-point Longhorn win, but Sherrill had 5 catches and a touchdown against the Horns. Alexander trying to turn the corner and did not get back to the line of scrimmage. Well played on the corner by Jalen Gilbo, senior veteran corner. Today's his 26th career start.
And Tim Beck acknowledged that it's going to be hard to run on this front. We're going to have to stay patient in the run game. And while they're going to win some and we're going to be behind the sticks from time or two, you got to stay patient. So don't abandon it just yet. But things need to happen faster in the run game than they have so far.
Texas trying to bring pressure up the middle. Alexander in the open field couldn't shed the defender. Brad Spence, transfer from Arkansas, part of a deep and talented Texas defense. Third down and 10. Sarkisian wants more from the home crowd of nearly 100,000.
And a very difficult down and distance here for Diego Pavia. You cannot take a sack and knock it out of field goal range, so the ball has to come out, knowing that Colin Simmons is going to be working against your left tackle.
Kylan Young, the running back. He stays in the block with pressure coming from the corner. Pavia could not escape. If he had managed to get away from Trey Moore, he had a lot of running room. But Moore made a huge tackle, and Clark Lee sends the field goal team on.
There's a great job by Moore on the end of the line of scrimmage. Watch how quickly he gets upfield and then immediately reverts back as Pavia starts to break contain. Feels the pressure off the left-hand side. The pocket collapses, but there's Moore, who's retreating to drop him for the stop.
Here's Brock Taylor, who's 7 for 7 this year. He's made 18 in a row. This is from 44. That's a gimme. Even you would have given him that one. And they're on the board. Clark Lee said they needed points on the drive. They get them. Not the 7 they had hoped for. You're watching SEC All Day, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. Early in the second quarter, Texas leading 17-3 against number 9 Vanderbilt. Fourth ranked versus ranked game of the season for the Commodores. They had played 9 in their entire football program history of 136 years prior to this year. A short kick fielded by Nick Townsend.
Today's unstoppable performance is brought to you by Ram Trucks, and so far it's the missed tackles for Vanderbilt. Their defenders are in decent position from time to time. You see the pursuit, well blocked on the outside, a linebacker's in position, whiffs, and then a moment later, C.J. Hurd whiffs on the sideline, leads to a huge play. Another big miss in the backfield by Hurd. The big plays that are being created right now after the catch because of missed tackles have got to stop for this Vanderbilt defense.
Did you deem that the unstoppable performance because they have not been making any stops? Usually it's the offense is unstoppable.
Yes, unstoppable. Correct.
With help from the defense today. Another swing pass. They've used that with great success, not just today, but throughout the Sarkisian era. It's one of the hallmarks of his offense. 3-yard completion to Wisner with a flag down. Commodores were offside.
Offside on the defense, lined up in the neutral zone, number 29. That's a 5-yard penalty for the previous spot. The replay, a first down.
Miles Capers, the excellent defensive end, graduate student from Sumter, South Carolina, off a career-high 7 tackles in that win last week against Missouri.
Highly uncharacteristic these last couple weeks from Vanderbilt. Man, they are a disciplined football team, but the last couple weeks, things have become unglued from a penalty standpoint.
Wisner, first down across the 45-yard line. 8-yard gain.
A little earlier, Ryan Wingo, outstanding wide receiver for the Longhorns, appears to have injured something on his right hand. You'll actually see him grab that right hand, getting it looked at now, and him being available down the stretch will be massive for this Longhorn team. Not out there.
Molly McGrath says she can't even find him on the sideline. That's a big loss for the Horns. Arch Manning slides down. Took a hit from Langston Patterson. The crowd wanted a call. It was not an illegal hit. It ends up as a 4-yard gain. Of course, Arch right out of concussion protocol last night.
And a good call. It was a late slide, so understandable why the fans are upset. But Arch has to also be smarter too. Initiate that slide just a touch earlier to avoid that contact, especially on first down. That's what his coaches have been trying to coach him on all week long.
Well, it's hard. He's such a competitor. Here comes a blitz. They have a screen set up against it. Wisner down the sideline. Upended after he picked up the first down to the Vanderbilt 34-yard line.
And this is such a good job by Steve Sarkisian. Look at all the Vanderbilt defenders. They all end up working a little bit this way. And there comes the screen out to the right-hand side. Look at all those white jerseys stepping in between the hashes, and then there's nobody home outside the numbers.
Weisner, very good receiver. Had 16 catches on the year in his limited playing time prior to today. He gets the call again, and Nick Rinaldi made the stop. Senior from Dover, Massachusetts, the beautiful suburbs of Boston.
Rinaldi is so disruptive on third down, but here with the play so far from the linebackers and some of the missed tackles we've seen, they're getting that next group in a little bit earlier. Rinaldi's usually a specialist with the pass rush.
Good cut by Weisner, and then a tough end of the run. Got more than it seemed he would. Texas 17 points in the first quarter. They had scored a total of 7 in the first quarter in their first 4 SEC games. A much better start in conference play. They're 3-1 in the league, lost at Florida in their conference opener, then wins against Oklahoma in the last 2 weeks to overtime to win at Kentucky and at Mississippi State. Emmett Mosley, the Stanford transfer, with another first down on another well-thrown ball by Arch Manning.
And this is well done. When you motion a defender, it usually softens up the defender. Look at the motion outside. Look how soft it creates to the outside. And it's an easy throw for Arch.
And he faked the throw out wide. Then he decided to go ahead and throw it to Dalen McCutcheon. And he's out of bounds inside the 5 at the 4. And now he's doubled over in pain. His left hand dangling. That's the 5th catch of the year for the true freshman, Dalen McCutcheon. 14 yards. He's likely out there because Wingo isn't, so they're losing bodies at the wide receiver position. 1st and goal. Weisner, blockers out in front, touchdown. Steve Sarkisian's season on life support. The 4th quarter last week in Starkville, Mississippi. They rallied to win one of the biggest comebacks in school history. And this afternoon looking very much like the team that was the preseason #1 in the country against 9th-ranked Vanderbilt. Mason Shipley. Adds the extra point. They answer the Commodore field goal with a touchdown.
And this time it's Quintravian Weisner, perfectly blocked up front. Somersaults over the goal line, and a dream start offensively for the Horns.
Tomorrow and Sunday NFL Countdown, the latest NFL trade deadline buzz, plus the constantly spinning quarterback carousel. Back to you in Austin, Sean.
All right, Shefty. How about those numbers? That's the 4th quarter in Starkville plus the overtime. And the first quarter and a half today. An offense sputtering has come to life. And then some. Mason Shipley will kick off again. Largest deficit of the season now for Vanderbilt. He's 17 points down earlier in this game, is already the biggest deficit they had faced. They were down by 16 in their only loss at Alabama. That was the final margin of that game. Another touchback, and here's Molly.
Well, Sean, Texas already short of safety with Michael Taff out, and during that last drive on defense, Jelani McDonald was guided back to the locker room by athletic training staff. They were holding him up by his shoulder pads and took his helmet away. I'll keep you updated as I know more, but Texas does not supply injury information, but they have quite the injuries piling up on this sideline, guys.
Already without Michael Taff, who was Pete Kwiatkowski's leading tackler prior to last week, when he did not play against Mississippi State, had surgery on that thumb. He practiced this week. He was questionable until last night. And not in there today. They haven't needed him so far. 7 minutes to go in the half. A lot of work for Pavia and the Commodores to do. It starts with a 15-yard play to Trey Richardson. Kobe Black on the tackle for the Texas defense.
I think this drive, not just to get points, but to give their defense a time to, on the sideline, to just collect themselves a bit. So far, the defense has no answers for what Texas is presenting to them. So this drive, massive, not just to close the gap, but also to allow time to burn some chalk on the sideline.
M.K. Young, the running back. Pavia ahead for 2. Clark Lee's team now number 9 in the country. His first 3 years 9-27, 14-7 since. But Diego Pavia quarterback. The number 9 ranking, their highest since 1937 when they were number 7. That was just the second year of the AP poll. 7-1 for the first time since 1941. 3 wins already this year against ranked teams, most in a single season in program history. But obviously not going well today in Austin. Pavia had some time, ran out of it, takes the check down. Young swung across the sideline by Grayson Littleton, the true freshman 4-star recruit out of Wiregrass Ranch High School in the Tampa area. Stopped that play for a 6-yard gain. 3rd down and 2.
Given the way things have gone so far for Vanderbilt, I don't love to be thinking this way this early, but it's almost maybe 4-down territory even from this down and distance on your side of the 50. So you can't get it. You might have another one if you're Tim Beck.
Gabe Fisher moved into the backfield. It's a play fake, and Fisher's the receiver. That's his first catch of the year for the junior from Nashville, playing for his hometown university.
And that's a good call. When Fisher comes in the game, I mean, it's 100% run for the most part, right behind him. Said they fake it behind him, slip him out in the flat for a good conversion.
Out of Montgomery Bell Academy in Nashville, school's produced a lot of fine football players. Alexander back in at running back. He went into the right flat. He's covered. Pavia throws it away. He knows Colin Simmons very well by now.
You have to wonder, too, Pavia's not very tall. And that time, the pass rush kind of collapsed right underneath him. So he probably can't see. It looked like there was quite a bit of room downfield to maybe find a receiver on the over route. Watch the pass rush get pressed up. He can't see anything. Therefore, he has to retreat to try to see something. And it leads to the throwaway.
Nearing 4 minutes to go in the half. Full complement of 3 timeouts for each team. Design rollout away from that pressure for Pavia. Good run after the catch. Eli Stowers, the excellent tight end, and Pavia's roommate with a 16-yard completion and a 1st down.
I love this design. You have 2 options. You could throw the little RPO to the left, or you could throw the shovel pass underneath, or Diego Pavia can actually keep it himself. It's very much like a triple option. You can have quarterback run, pitch it underneath. That's basically the fullback dive, and then Stowers becomes the pitch man outside.
Out of the pistol. M.K. Young trying to find a hole. Slides down to the 27-yard line. Anthony Hill at the bottom of the pile, as he so often is for the Longhorns, their leading tackler. And for all the attention, all that scoring they did late in the game last week in Starkville to rally and win, the defense had to keep getting stop after stop, and Hill put on an unbelievable performance at the end of that game. Determined almost all by himself to get the ball back.
It might have been the best 17 snaps of football I've seen by a linebacker since I've been in this profession. He completely dominated.
And 3.5 tackles for a loss against Mississippi State. Here comes a blitz. Pavia, high throw under duress. Malik Muhammad came on a corner blitz, and Pavia was well aware of it.
And he just goes right around, and they clearly had some type of issue because he comes from the second level. The tackle slides inside. Pavia recognizes it immediately, and he has to throw it away.
Saw the Texas defenders pointing at the left tackle. It looked like he came out of his stance early. There was no flag. 3rd down and 8.
It's looking like man coverage from Texas. So, man, you want to be looking at Stowers, your tight end, who's lined up at number 3 in the slot up top.
Pavia in trouble. Still in trouble. And the pass is caught, ruled in bounds at the 25, but well short of the first down. Good catch by Hoskins. A 3-yard gain. Clark Lee has a decision to make.
We'll let it go all the way down, though, because
yeah, you might as well take the 2-minute stoppage to think about what you want to do. Pavia is calling for the play call, but I think you're right.
I think they'll try to get him jump off sides here, maybe give him a free first down.
I'm surprised the coaches didn't tell him to wait for the 2-minute stoppage. It doesn't matter. We're there.
2-minute timeout.
You know, the way Texas is going up and down the field, you want to leave as little time as possible for them. Critical 4th down coming up when we come back. You're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Starbucks. You're watching the SEC on ABC, and as we welcome you back to Austin with Texas leading 24-3 with 2 minutes to go in the half. Vanderbilt is going for it on 4th and 4. Against a Texas defense that's been tremendous on 4th down. Best in the conference, 4th best in the country.
Motion Stowers down and work him.
Pavia. Caught. First down. It is Stowers. One of the best tight ends in America. 7-yard gain from his buddy Pavia, who was also Stowers' teammate at New Mexico State.
And this is good design. You motion Stowers down, get him to kind of run in the vapor trail of the guy that's at the point, so you create a bit of a stack. It makes it very difficult for Williams, the safety, to get through that traffic. It's an easy pitch and catch.
Touchdown here would be enormous for Pavia and the Doors. They will get the ball first to begin the second half. All kinds of trickery. They're not fooled. And Pavia's taken down again. Anthony Hill this time. The 3rd Texas sack.
And this is impossible here. You have one of the best linebackers in America working against a pulling guard who all of a sudden becomes your right tackle. Everything right now for Vanderbilt is taking too long. This is too athletic of a defensive front 7. So the misdirection, slow playing it is not going to work against a group that can just overwhelm your front.
Vanderbilt had given up only 7 sacks all season entering today, tied with A&M for the fewest in the conference and 11th fewest in the country. Junior Sherrill, with the time becoming an issue now. Jalen Gilbo made the stop for Pete Kwiatkowski. Vanderbilt letting the clock run. It is 3rd down, but you need to play here for 7 points.
I'm not sure.
And now a timeout called by Texas.
Timeout, Texas. It's the first charge timeout.
17 seconds to go in the half. 24-3 Horns. Stay tuned for the Capital One halftime report. Kevin Negandhi and Joey Galloway standing by. Ohio State hosting Penn State today. Miami playing an important game in the ACC just up the road in Dallas against SMU. Details on those games and all the rest of the day's action in just a matter of seconds. 17 left in the half. 3rd down and 10 for Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. In dire need of 7. If they don't do anything here, probably looking at another field goal try. Five receivers spread the field. Pavia down the middle and caught, and a touchdown. Eli Stowers. What a drive by the Commodores. 75 yards in just under 7 minutes. And an 18-yard touchdown. Pavia to his great friend Stowers on the 13th play of the drive. Everything was going Sarkisian's way, but he's clearly dismayed. A little life for Clark Lee and the Commodores to take into the locker room. A lot of belief on that team. They'll get the ball first in the second half. Brock Taylor on for the extra point. And all of a sudden it's gotten very quiet for the crowd of 100,000 plus here in Austin.
And this is just really poorly lined up initially. If you look at T'Anthony Smith, he's shaded to the 2-man side, which look at all the space you have between him and the next closest underneath defender. I mean, Stowers can work right up the middle. Pavia does a good job of acknowledging how much space there is, gets it out really quickly, hits Stowers, who does a great job after the catch. That was just poor alignment in the pre-snap, which is probably a big reason why Sarkisian was so frustrated on the sideline.
We talked about the interesting history of these programs of the quarterbacks, and it's quite a past and present that Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers have together. Mentioned Pavia not highly recruited out of high school, had to go to junior college. Stowers, on the other hand, was a 4-star quarterback out of Denton Guyer here in Texas. Went to Texas A&M for a couple of years, didn't get on the field. 5 games as a backup quarterback, transferred to New Mexico State. Pavia wound up becoming the quarterback. Stowers became a tight end. They competed against each other. They weren't always that close, but they have become inseparable. And now they combine on a huge touchdown. Stowers might well be a first-round tight end in the next NFL draft.
And he's great. He reminds me so much of Evan Ingram from Ole Miss several years ago, and has had a nice career in the NFL. He's not your traditional tight end. He's really kind of a jumbo slot, but he is very effective catching the ball, has great feel for space with his quarterback background, and is very athletic and tough to defend.
Deeply religious as well, and he's had a big impact on Diego Pavia in terms of the development of the quarterback's faith. Time for another play for Texas. Going down quickly is Mosley. He's at the 46-yard line. Shipley does have a big leg. He kicked a 60-yarder for Texas State. That was indoors at NRG Stadium in Houston when he kicked for Texas State. They also have enough time for a Hail Mary if they want to try that. After a 15-yard completion, Manning's 10 for his last 10. SEC All Day presented by IHG continues on ABC when we're finished here. Number 5, Georgia and Florida. They renew one of the great rivalries in college football. 45 straight wins against unranked teams for Georgia. And then tonight, a couple of top 18 teams. Number 18 Oklahoma, 14th ranked Tennessee from Knoxville.
Be a great slate of games here in the SEC, like it always is. Just keep it locked in here on ABC all throughout the day. And here, Hail Mary opportunity. Remember last week, Vanderbilt didn't play it well. It was caught by Missouri, so watch for Texas to try to.
Timeout, Vanderbilt.
Probably reminded them, hey.
This is their first charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout. Timer, please reset the game clock to 3 seconds. 3.
Sure, Clark Lee going to remind them of Hail Mary operation, the chase man, and everybody just knocked the ball down. And I would imagine Texas getting their length on the field. Parker Livingston at 6'4", and as many tall receivers as they can get to go up and win a jump ball.
Brian Wingo has returned to their bench area with an obvious right hand injury. He has not returned to the game. Yeah, the last play of the game last week in Nashville, Missouri threw a Hail Mary that was caught about 6 inches short of the goal line. Would have tied the game if they had kicked the extra point. Clarkley was not happy with the way his team played that. And you have the history of Vanderbilt. You're not going to apologize for ugly wins. They're all good. Manning might have thrown it too far. He did. Down to the back of the end zone. Whistles are blowing because there's a flag down.
I remember one time I threw a Hail Mary out of the back of the end zone. My offensive coordinator told me, how many minuses can you fit in that box? When grading the film the next day, I said, a lot. I think I fit 37 minuses, and that's how many minuses I got for throwing a Hail Mary out of the back of the end zone, not giving us a chance. I wonder if Sark will make the same play tomorrow.
Illegal substitution on the defense. They played it down with 12 players.
Well,
that's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. With a replay of first down, timer, please reset the game clock to 3 seconds. The game clock will start on the snap.
would you try a long field goal here?
Yeah, now.
Shipley has a big leg. Made a 53-yarder at Kentucky. Mentioned a 60-yarder indoors. He said he never thinks about the distance. He just focuses on the kick. He didn't know he made a 60-yarder until after the kick when they told him. But he's on the sideline. That is one way to do a better job defending the Hail Mary. Extra people on the field.
It's worth a try, I suppose.
12-man defense. Arch. That one is going to be close to the back line. And it's on the ground out of the back of the end zone. And no flags this time. So Arch had been 10 for 10. The Hail Mary attempt ends that streak. But he had an outstanding half off a career high 346 in Starkville last week. 200 yards passing for Manning and 2 touchdowns on 12 out of 16. Here's Molly.
Coach, the Hail Mary was unsuccessful, but what kind of execution and confidence did you see from your quarterback Arch Manning in your offense in the first half?
Well, he's playing really efficiently. He's getting completions when they're there. I think he's getting through his progressions really well too, and guys are playing good with the ball in their hands in space.
We saw that you were visibly upset when Vanderbilt scored that touchdown in those final moments. What does your defense need to continue to do to stay dominant?
Well, we can't have a miscommunication coming out of a timeout. They might have scored, they might not have, but it shouldn't have been that easy.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Sean.
The point well made by Greg McElroy. Our score at the half is Texas 24 and Vanderbilt 10. Time now for the Capital One halftime report with Joey Galloway. Here's Kevin Nagandi. You're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Starbucks. These fans here at DKR needed a little caffeine this morning. An 11 a.m. kickoff. Arch Manning and the Longhorns were ready to go right out of the gate. They scored on their first offensive play, built a 17-0 lead, led 24-3. But Vanderbilt rallied back. Diego Pavia to Eli Stowers very late in the half. 24-10. Vanderbilt will get the ball first to start the second half, and you get the sense it's a very important drive, not just in this game, but for their seasons, for both of these teams. How does Vanderbilt build on what they did at the end of the half?
Well, they got to abandon the slow developing offensive play. Right now, they're trying to trick Texas with movement and misdirection, slower developing issues. And Texas saying, we don't care. We are going to attack. We're going to pin our ears back. We're going to run right at Diego Pavia, and we're going to cause disruption. So they have got to make adjustments offensively to become quicker. The operation needs to be faster.
Mason Shipley kicks off. Trey Richardson brings it back down the sideline. And they'll have good field position to start this important drive after a 33-yard kickoff return.
Let's take a look at who's bringing the heat. Brought to you by Sonic, and it's the Texas defense. I referenced it. They're disregarding all the motion and movement. They're just pinning their ears back and going right at Diego Pavia, and it's forcing Diego Pavia's decision-making to happen much quicker. And then when they try to get too aggressive, they've still been disciplined enough to go back and capture the rush. So very, very important for everything moving forward in this game that Pavia and this Vanderbilt offense get the ball out faster against this pass rush.
Manning 200 yards passing. Wingo had the touchdown in the first play, but then left with an injured hand. 3 sacks, the most Pavia's been sacked in a game this season. And matching the most in his 2 years in Nashville. That was a long throw, didn't have a lot on it. Still should have been caught by Trey Richardson. Here's Molly.
Well, Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee was really positive at halftime. He said he liked the way that they finished the half offensively. He said we sustained pressures better, and they want to take that momentum, that confidence into this first offensive possession. And he told his quarterback, Diego Pavia, be yourself. He said he's the kind of guy you want on your side down 2 scores. We have the confidence and the playmakers to get back in this. Sean?
As Clark Lee said, there are very few players in the country who can take over a game. Pavia has done that. Hard to do against a talented defense like this. Here comes Simmons again. Pavia on target, and the ball comes out. Eli Stowers couldn't hang on, so a couple of passes, both of which could have been caught. Neither one of them was.
And this is a well-thrown ball inside. This is one that Stowers needs to bring in his tight coverage, but he's got him walled off. And a really good receiving tight end should make that catch for his quarterback.
It's such an important drive to begin it with 2 drop passes in a row. And the Doors hope that's not a harbinger of things to come. For Vandy grad Clark Lee. Wow. The bottom of your screen contact between the receiver and Warren Roberson, the defensive back.
On the defense, number 24 with contact. 5-yard penalty. Makes 3rd down.
And
what are you doing?
Why? I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, watch the ball. He tries to jam the receiver, but
yes.
I mean, a difference in this defense between a 3rd and 10 and a 3rd and 5 is enormous. Now, you can't just pin your ears back and rush the passer with relentless pursuit, because a quarterback run could easily pick up the 1st down.
Yeah, you know, you want some contact, but usually after the ball is snapped. So a big penalty on Roberson. Cuts the 3rd down distance in half. Pavia tried to escape and could not. Brad Spence there again for the Longhorn defense. There is a flag down. It's against Vanderbilt. They're going to turn that down.
Holding on the offense, number 55. That penalty has been declined. It's 4th down.
It's a great job by Spence. He's expected to be the spy in this situation. He initiates the rush, and then watch how he drops back. So he grabs the defender, then he pulls back, leans inside, and he sees Diego Pavia the whole way to drop him on the stop.
And he's a backup. They had a big game in their win against Oklahoma. Haberer, rugby-style punt. Looked for a moment like he might keep running with the ball. C.J. Hurd down there to down it after Niblett got away from it. Good punt. 57 yards. And Arch Manning's back on the field.
And he's been very efficient today, very decisive, seeing the pressure, getting the ball out immediately. Well blocked on the outside, and just let your receivers go to work. Make a guy miss and you're out the gate on the first play of the game, but it continued as the game went along. Just under a 2.25 seconds to get the ball out to Livingston, allows plenty of space where he can run after catch, and then when you have time, use it. He moves, threatens the line of scrimmage, keeps his eyes downfield, and throws a strike to Baxter for a touchdown. This has been a really clean half of football from Arch Manning.
We asked Steve Sarkisian yesterday to describe the season that Arch Manning's had. He said growth. And that's been in evidence late last week and again here today. Wisner, again, some poor tackling by the Vanderbilt defense. It's a 4-yard pickup. Steve Sarkisian said he thinks the struggles that Arch had early in the year, that the offense has had, will be good for him down the road. You know, both in terms of football, Greg, in terms of life. He said, you know, here's a young man born into a great family. Take away the football part, just great people throughout the Manning clan. He's had a wonderful life. So, you know, to have to deal with some adversity and handle it well and rally back the way he is, it's a valuable experience.
Very much so. And to have that experience now, still with everything to play for right in front of you, knowing that you can take the absolute heat that he's taken and bounce back says a lot.
On 3rd down and 4, on target, Manning again. And at Mosley to the 31. That's what they had in mind. What they expected from the start of the year from Manning in this offense.
And watch how he scans the field. Starts his eyes to the right, doesn't like it, gets all the way back and finds the receiver breaking free.
Better protection than he's been given for a lot of the year as well. Wisner driven back. Running game still not prolific, but they've had their moments today. Steve Sarkisian said if we could just rush for 125 yards, that would make me happy. They are not anywhere near that yet. 54 yards today.
And we knew that the path of least resistance against Vanderbilt would be on the outside, to be in the passing game against a secondary that have had some ups and downs, but keeping them honest with the run game is important, especially with a lead closing out the game as well. So the run game's got to get going in the second half.
Manning open receiver, Livingston. Step past the marker, 1st down. 10 yards on the completion to Livingston. Arch Manning was the preseason favorite, and that even seems silly to start predicting the Heisman Trophy race before the season starts. And he's fallen completely off the board. He's on target again. He might be reigniting candidacy with this performance. DeAndre Moore the catch, and they're inside the 30 to the 29-yard line.
He is really seeing the defense well today. He sees the corner down squat on the underneath. He knows he has the corner route to DeAndre Moore. He puts it right over the top. It's a well-timed throw from Arch, and he's just picking up right where he left off in the first half.
29-yard play. 2nd catch for Moore. C.J. Baxter taken down after a 1-yard pickup by Nick Rinaldi. Well, there were certainly a lot of people asking, Greg, how good is Arch Manning? Some were wondering, was he overrated, overhyped?
He's very talented, and I think that's what he's the most scrutinized high school athlete ever. No matter what you say, nobody has been operating under the microscope more than him this season, and I think he's really, since the Florida game, played very, very well. Now the Kentucky game, there were a couple misses, but still a young player early in his development.
It's 8-2 as the Texas starter. Steps into the throw and off the hands of Livingston. He put one hand up in the traffic. C.J. Hurd had the coverage.
Pretty well thrown ball there too. That was pretty well defended in a tight window that Arch had to negotiate around, and it was well thrown. Probably should have been caught if he put 2 hands up.
Manning, 1st down. Jack Endries, the tight end, transfer from Cal. Outstanding receiving threat at the tight end position for a 1st down with 17 yards.
And this is a great job by Arch, seeing the pressure and throwing into it. Sometimes quarterbacks, when they see the pressure, they eyes and their body works away. That time he attacks where the defense is vacating from. There's plenty of space for Endries, who turns upfield for the conversion.
Manning has completed passes to 10 different receivers on 17 completions. And they've been without their leading receiver for the year, Wingo, for a lot of the game. Here's Endries again, chopped down by C.J. Hurd. Tackle that might have saved a touchdown. Stopped it for a 5-yard gain.
It's in the spot on the field right here, 6-yard line. This is where the onus goes to the offensive line. The passing game has gotten you here. Now you got to finish the drive, something that Texas has at times struggled with the last couple of years. Inside the 10, inside the 5, you got to be able to run it into the end zone when the field condenses.
Baxter in at running back. Manning faked it to him. Hit as he throws. Touchdown. Emmett Mosley. A 93-yard drive ends with Manning's 3rd touchdown throw of the afternoon. And Arch is up to 287 yards passing with 9:12 to go in the 3rd quarter. Perhaps on his way to another career high. Mason Shipley the extra point.
That's the way you take control of the game. You let Vandy climb back in it at the end of half. You force a 3 and out. And their quarterback leads a 93-yard drive in 5 minutes to extend your lead on a perfect throw. And Steve Sarkisian, he's got Arch Manning playing like his uncles after all.
The 93-yard drive for Texas, their longest in 2 seasons in the Southeastern Conference. And they're back up by 21. 9:12 to go in the 3rd quarter here in Austin. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, and Molly McGrath. And Trey Richardson, a fair catch of the Shipley kickoff.
This is an RPO, but this play takes a ton of courage from the quarterback. You know it's all-out pressure. You're going to get hit. Do you want to hand it off or you want to throw a touchdown? You know you're going to get crushed. Arch Manning says, you know what, forget about it. I'll take the hit, but I'm going to hang in there and I'm going to deliver a strike. That is courage on display from the quarterback. Outstanding throw and execution to punctuate that drive.
Well, Steve Sarkisian, when talking to us yesterday about Arch, talked about toughness. He's a great teammate. Vanderbilt's 2nd possession. First one started with a couple of drop passes. Cedric Alexander gets 4. Here's Molly.
Well, Sean, because of that hit on the touchdown, quarterback Arch Manning was approached by athletic training staff, and he pointed to the side of his neck, tested the mobility of his neck, and said, I'm fine. His right arm is a bit scraped up. He's getting beat up out there, but as you said, Sark said he's a tough guy, but he's definitely feeling it today, Sean.
Well, it's back-to-back excellent performances. There's a blitz from deep, and Pavia ran past it. Freshman Grayson Littleton came on a delayed blitz from well in the defensive backfield and basically ran right by Pavia, who wound up gaining 8.
Very important for Clark Lee's group to get an answer. I mean, this thing could get out of hand in a hurry if their quarterback doesn't execute at a really high level here. But if you look at how he's played in the past, he cannot play hero ball just yet. He's got to still stay patient because it's still within reach, just a 3-score game.
The Vanderbilt team that rushes for 203 yards per game, just 24 today. A flag down at the end of this run by Alexander. Leonga Lafau made the tackle against Texas.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense number 18. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run, and it carries an automatic first down.
Looked like Lafau, as he was getting ready to try to get up in there, he grabs Alexander by the pinky.
Must have a strong finger. That was a 1-finger face mask.
That was the strongest pinky I've ever seen.
Leonga, part of a talented linebacker group. He's from Hawaii. But Vanderbilt came into today one of just 5 teams in the country in the top 25 in the nation in rushing offense and rushing defense. Coaches always talk about if you can run the ball and stop the run, you have a chance to have a really good team. They haven't been able to run it today against a great Texas rush defense. Pavia, that needs to be a flag. Now there comes a flag now. There might be more than just the one flag, but Xavier Filsaime kept riding Pavia well across the boundary.
Like the hit started in bounds, but the way Filsaime finished it, throwing him into the sideline, should result in a 15-yard penalty. And right here, it's fine, it's dead, but this right here, the extra aggression, completely unnecessary.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense number 17. Hit out of bounds. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run, and it carries an automatic.
The crowd's booing. I mean, Filsaime tackled him at the concession stand. I think the crowd might be saying it looked like Pavia kind of pulled Filsaime down, and the former state champion wrestler does yank him down.
Yeah, it did look like Pavia's right arm did get behind the Texas defender Filsaime, so I can understand a little bit what they saw.
So the run and the penalty has them at the 21. More than midway through the third quarter. Pavia has a man open. He threw it over the head of Junior Sherrill. We got behind Malik Muhammad in coverage.
Just a bad miss here by Diego Pavia. I mean, you get a guy open, he's behind the defense, and you throw it out of bounds. I mean, give the guy a chance at the back pylon. When you have a vertical route, that's where you're throwing it. Every quarterback puts a bucket back there, trash can back there. You want to drop it there in that backyard. That time he overthrows him, and it's incomplete.
Diego's mom, Antoinette. He has a lot of friends and family here today. This game the closest he'll play to his hometown of Albuquerque. He told us about 120 people here. Flag down. Mistime snap hit the motion man, MK Young. A lot going on. None of it happened because of the flags.
On the offense, number 55.
Bryce Henderson, another offensive line penalty. This one against the right tackle. Clark Lee said after the subpar performance by his O-line last week against Missouri, we can't win in this league if our offensive line doesn't play at a high level. They were fortunate to win last week, but they haven't played well again today, admittedly against one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah, that's the group that sets the tone, and especially here in the red area, right on the fringe area of the red zone, that's where they made the mistakes last week that cost them yards and points.
2nd and 15. 4-man rush. Pavia floated it out to Richie Hoskins. And be nice. The flag was coming if the body slam came, but Anthony Hill placed him back down. Line of scrimmage, the 19. They need the 11 for a first down, probably 2 downs to do it.
That's exactly right, Sean. I think it's 4-down territory from this point forward for Vanderbilt.
Haven't been able to stop Texas today. Field goals really don't do you much good down by 21.
You have a one-on-one there at the top if you want to work your slot receiver.
Pavia weaving around. Pavia goes down. Ethan Burke Pressure from Simmons. That's been a consistent theme all day long. Pavia sacked 5 times, most in his career at Vanderbilt or New Mexico State.
And against a pass rush like this, you can't just hold the ball forever. You can't continue to retreat backwards. The tackles are expecting to be no deeper than 9 yards, and when you're at 13, those edge defenders are going to have a huge advantage.
Well, now with 19 yards to go, they will try the field goal. Brock Taylor, and it's been that kind of a day. His streak of 19 straight field goals is over as he misses from 48 yards. Been that kind of a day all day. Missed tackles, dropped passes, penalties. And the sack's a huge problem. The O-line subpar again today. It adds up to a 31-10 Texas lead. You're watching SEC All Day. Presented by HG Hotels and Resorts.
And now I live it. Ain't it
ABC College Football, presented by Starbucks, is brought to you by Ram Trucks, official sponsor of the College Football Playoff. Nothing stops Ram.
For 20 years, All-State celebrated every field goal and extra point made by participating universities. They donate to the university's athletic scholarship fund, supporting all student athletes. Thank you, All-State. DeAndre Moore couldn't handle the pass from Arch Manning. Now 18 for his last 20. There's the information about the field goal nets. It hasn't changed. Missed a chance for some money to Brock Taylor. He hadn't missed one since a year ago, September. More than 13 months, but he missed from 48 yards. Manning under duress, threw a wobbler, still reached the target. Emmett Mosley for a 4-yard gain. Nice pickup for Texas out of the transfer portal from Stanford, where he had 48 catches last year as a true freshman, the Cardinal freshman record.
His return from injury has kind of opened things up. You now have another weapon that can catch and run. And this group at wide receiver, they expect to be a real strength coming into the year. They had some growing pains, but they're starting to play their best football here in November.
Still trying to get their timing down with Arch Manning as the starter. It seems like that process is going well. They brought some pressure. They hit Manning as he threw, and it's too long for Mosley. Now there is a flag down.
Pass interference on the defense, number 4. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot, and it carries an automatic first down.
It's on Martell Height. Yeah, that qualifies as holding.
Amazing that the protection against an all-out pressure was able to hold up enough to create that double move opportunity, and probably a good penalty, because if you don't grab him, he's out the gate for a touchdown.
Manning's attempted 26 passes without being sacked today. A couple of changes along the offensive line today seem to have worked out well for Sarkisian, Kyle Flood, Wisner across midfield. Linus Zunk made the tackle, backup defensive end after a gain of 3.
And I think that's really been the more disappointing aspect of this season. People have really overanalyzed Arch Manning. He's a young quarterback that's going to get better with time, but the offensive line has not given him a lot of help. It was best on display against Florida, where they just got pushed around time and time again. You got to give your young quarterback time. They have today. He's responded.
Ryan Niblick goes in motion. Wisner, nice cut. First down. C.J. Hurd made the tackle at the 35-yard line of Vanderbilt. And the Horns are on the move again. 13 on that run.
And this is the Quatravian Wisner we expected to see this year. He is so sudden. Boom, right there. Puts that right foot in the ground and makes that guy miss. He is so tough in the open field and in short area quickness stuff, man, he's as quick as you'll find in the SEC.
Wisner. Stopped by Brian Longwell. Hasn't been the best day for Steve Gregory's defense. Tone set early with the poor tackling.
He just really hasn't been able to manufacture a lot of pressure. I mean, they haven't been able to get home. They haven't been able to affect the quarterback. So it's really the strength of their group is their pass rush and their edges, and those guys have been a non-factor for most of the day.
24th play they'll run in Vandy's half of the field today. Only 18 on their own side of the field. Wisner very close to another first down, about a yard short, as we tick down toward 2.5 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Plays like that really show the growth of the quarterback. You have pressure off the left-hand side. He steps up. Remember a moment ago with Diego Pavia, he stepped back. You help your offensive line when you step up. You find a check down, find an outlet, and what would have been a 2nd or 3rd and 10 becomes a 3rd and 1.
One of the reasons Pavia had to step back was they continue with all that faking that takes time. Here's Wisner on 3rd and 1. He's yanked down inside the 20. Jalen Lackey made the stop, a cornerback for Vanderbilt. It's a 7-yard gain. And the drive more than 3.5 minutes. Wisner up to 59. He was the leading rusher in their win in Nashville last year. Trying to turn the corner here. There is a flag down.
Holding on the offense, number 83. That 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the spot of the foul with a replay of first down.
Spencer Shannon, part of a deep tight end group for Texas.
Shannon and everybody over here on the wash, and this is where they said the hold occurred. Shannon's number 3 inside, but it might have actually been just outside of him. Not sure exactly where they saw the hold.
He didn't hold anybody.
He tried to hold him at the end, but you don't get credit for that.
Shannon's going to be thinking, first time they call my name all day, and I'm an innocent man. Jalen McCutcheon, it's an incomplete pass. Nick Rinaldi nearest for the Vanderbilt defense. So Arch Manning up to 302 yards passing. Now that's back-to-back 300-yard games. And his 4th career game of 300 or more, with the likelihood of more to come. I think the rest of college football, especially teams with a chance to be in the playoff, are thinking, couldn't Mississippi State have just won that game last week and knocked the Longhorns out of the college football playoff picture? McCutcheon to the 25-yard line. We talked to Steve Sarkisian yesterday. He said, hey, we've had to do this the last couple of years. You know, we put ourselves in a position middle of the seasons where we basically had to win out, and we did it. And there's a lot of belief that we can do it again. Won the final 6 games 2 years ago to win the Big 12 championship in their last year in that conference. Won the final 5 games to get to the SEC championship game. Lost to Georgia, but made it to the college football playoff.
Especially with the youth they have on offense, too. They're only going to get better from here.
Niblett. Out of bounds at the 19-yard line for a gain of 6.
It's fascinating what one performance can do for your group. And the 4th quarter performance back against the wall, the defense who had carried them through most of the year.
Desperation will do that, right?
100%. The defense finally had an off day, and the offense said, all right, we got it, boys. It's got to be on us today, and they did. And the carryover from last week to this week has been remarkable. And now, how do you sustain that momentum through the bye week before the road trip to Georgia a couple weeks from now?
37-yard try for Mason Shipley. That's good. And it's a 24-point lead for Texas. Biggest of the day for Sarkisian. 6 seconds to go in the third quarter in Austin. The National Championship Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper is here in Austin today. Longhorns have won 4 national titles, most recently in 2005, and that Mac Brown team honored here on the 20th anniversary. Great to see Coach Brown here. One of the great gentlemen in the history of college football, one of the great all-time coaches as well. Trent Hudson returns the kickoff, which brings us to the end of the third quarter. Texas in control. That's been the case from the first play of the game. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Kevin Nagani in studio, AT&T keeping fans connected. Take a look at our multi-view showcasing a bunch of great games across our networks. Keeping an eye on 2 games over on ESPN. Miami up by only 3 against SMU, and undefeated Navy down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter on ESPN2. Back to Sean, Greg, and Molly.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Here in Austin, first home game at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium for the Longhorns since September 20th. And it's been a rousing success in front of the home crowd since the first play from scrimmage and Texas scored. Diego Pavia down by 24 points now. You know, he's going to fight all the way to the end. 12 yards and a first down. And they're going to go with tempo, as you would think they would.
Yeah, 4 downs the rest of the way. And already start talking about your hands team, because you're going to need them as well with the 3-possession game.
Flag thrown by the umpire. Showed very good speed and elusiveness, splitting a gap to get to the referee.
Delay of game on the defense, number 1, clapping. That's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Clapping and not calling a timeout.
I knew you were going to say that.
And Trenton Crawford, the umpire, was all over it.
And there he is right here. Let's see. Yes. Oh, good clap. Strong clap.
And that pass batted in the air and caught by an offensive lineman. Trey Moore deflected it, and it was caught by Chase Mitchell, the right guard, for a 5-yard loss.
This Texas defensive line has been so problematic today, and now with Vandy finally making some adjustments, getting the ball out, they're going vertical and trying to knock the ball down instead of rushing the passer.
It hit Trey Moore in the wrong place, hit him in the head. He has too much brain power. Too big a brain. He's a finalist for the academic Heisman, the Campbell Trophy, one of 16 nationally. He's a 3.65 student. Will graduate in December. A.J. Newberry, part of their running back core, his first touch of the day, shoved out after a 6-yard gain. We have 2 of the 16 finalists for the Campbell Trophy in this game. Eli Stowers, the excellent tight end for Tim Beck, Diego Pavia's buddy, is a 3.92 at Vanderbilt in individual studies. Of course, he's built that academic resume at 3 schools: Texas A&M, New Mexico State, now Vanderbilt. 1 more school and he'll hit the average for FBS football players. They're at their own 41. Pavia retreating a little bit more, trying to step into a long throw. Couldn't find anybody deep. So here's Cole Spence, the backup tight end, who the coaches say would be the featured tight end in a lot of other teams around the country. That one is good for 23 to the senior from Roswell, Georgia.
And that was one of the few times today where the protection for Diego Pavia held up for long enough to allow guys to uncover.
Using a lot of the play clock, down by 3 scores, 3-8s, and then the play they ran didn't go very well. Newberry dropped by the veteran Ethan Burke in his 49th career game as a Texas Longhorn. That's a loss of 3.
And you got to be appreciative of how Texas's defensive line has played throughout this game. They don't care about the misdirection and the movement and the motion. They're just saying, we're see ball, get ball, attack. And the results have been outstanding.
Keeps doing it.
I don't know why they're doing it. They got to be quicker, I think, because Texas is too athletic. They're going to make plays behind the line of scrimmage.
Pavia dodged the rush for Moore. Now Moore trying to get him from behind. Good play by Diego to get to the 30-yard line. Trey Moore hustled back to make the tackle with help from Derek Williams Jr. The operation pretty slow. They're huddling again. Substituting.
I can understand huddling and substituting on 3rd down, critical to keep the drive alive, but once they pick up the 1st down, you need to see some no huddle operation because precious seconds are wasted.
Under 11 minutes to go. Design roll to the right for Pavia, on target, 1st down. Eli Stowers again for a 6-yard gain.
Organizing another huddle, Sean, and here I know the clock stops for a second with the 1st down, but now it's rolling already. You got to start to pick up the pace a little bit. It's a 3-possession game, still very much in it, but you're going to run out of time if you don't start picking up the pace.
Each quarterback has completed passes now to 10 different receivers. Stowers with 4 catches to lead the Commodores. A.J. Newberry, the running back. Pavia takes off running. Pavia is going all the way to the end zone for a touchdown. "25-yard run." Flag is at the end of the play. It's starting to get a little chippy and chirpy. And when that starts, the officials start losing hats, throwing hats.
They might get Pavia for tossing the ball after he scored the touchdown at a defender. Looked like Filsamy, the same guy he got into it on the sideline with there at the end.
Crowd chanting overrated at Pavia and the Commodores.
Could be critical too, because if it is on Pavia, then your 2-point attempt now will be run from the 17-yard line as opposed to being up there around the 3.
Well, they've managed to keep winning despite a team that is penalty prone.
The result of the play is a touchdown. After the play, we have fouls by both teams. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense number 2. That is his first of the game, throwing the ball at a player. Also, we have a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, shot above the shoulders on the defense number 5. Those penalties will offset. We will play the try down at the 3-yard line.
So it's like nothing happened. It's a touchdown, and they'll go for 2 from the 3.
A big break, because I didn't see anything right there. That was what initiated Pavia's frustration. He throws the ball at Filsamy, and that would have been a 15-yarder easily. But right here, it's the retaliation, it looks like, late by pushing it, that wipes out the 15-yarder.
Maybe when he grabbed him by the throat there at the end. Go for Dos, brought to you by Dos Equis. Or if it's McElroy, it's Quattro Equis.
Seis.
Cedric Alexander, the running back. Fake to him. They're trying to throw it to him. That pass is incomplete. Wound up in the direction of Junior Sherrill. The animated conversations and the bumping and nonsense after the play continuing. So a big stop, as it's still a 3-score game, but a nice drive led by Pavia. 25-yard touchdown, 5-minute drive. It's SEC all day, presented by IHG. Continues from Jacksonville, Georgia and Florida, number 5. UGA led by Gunnar Stockton, trying to knock off the Gators in that great rivalry game. They'll be playing their first game under their interim head coach, Billy Gonzalez, after a bye week following the dismissal of Billy Napier. Here comes a little pooch down the field. It is caught. Parker Livingston. And he's down at the 35-yard line. Well, the first college football playoff rankings will come out Tuesday night. So here's the All-State playoff predictor, our versions of what we expect the rankings to look like on Tuesday night. This was entering today's action.
I think the big question is it Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama in that order. That's the big question. I would think it's probably going to be how many ACC schools are currently in as well. Right now, Miami in a dogfight against SMU, and Georgia Tech currently undefeated. So that's the other big question mark that we'll find out here heading into this first playoff ranking release.
Pistol now for Texas. They'll look to run some clock. And it's Wisner. The clock goes under 10 minutes to go. Well, here's what I thought entering today. Now, if Vanderbilt loses, do you take them out of your bracket completely?
Probably.
Who goes in? I would add Notre Dame. I had Navy as the group of 5, but it looks like they're going to lose today.
Right.
They were undefeated. So that'll change as well.
For sure. And the big question with Notre Dame is the head-to-head losses against A&M and against Miami. So in the event in which Miami's 10-2, doesn't win the ACC, they have the head-to-head against the Irish. So another interesting layer to be accounted for down the stretch.
And a lot of football still to go. When Travion Wisner cross the 40, don't forget to go to ESPN.com/All-State Playoff Predictor to check out your team's chances to make the college football playoff.
Going to reference to Notre Dame too, with what they have remaining on their schedule, it'd be surprising if they're not at 10-2.
Yes.
So this first ranking will be very, very important to see exactly how the committee feels about them, even though they don't have a great win with the exception of USC.
Well, I'll make a friendly wager. If they're 10-2, they're going to be it.
I think it's a safe play for sure.
They're at Boston College today. DeAndre Moore, a nice catch. And on third down, they move the chains again. Arch Manning's neck is still bothering him. Molly mentioned that earlier when he was flexing his neck after that completion.
Didn't affect the accuracy on that one. Did get hit a little bit there at the end. Singh tries to hold him up, but that was a well-thrown ball by Arch.
Eight minutes to go. 3 catches for DeAndre Moore out of Anaheim, California. John Bianco, the great sports information director here, tells us he wants to be a sports broadcaster when he's done. Look out, Greg McElroy. Speaking of great sports broadcasters, Vern Lundquist is here today with his wife Nancy. They're the guests of DeLoss Dodds. They spent some time living here in Austin. There's Vern, Nancy on the left of your screen. DeLoss Dodds, longtime athletic director here. What? For as great a broadcaster as he was and is, infinitely a nicer person.
Just one of the all-time greats, and truly one of my favorite people in the entire world.
And you're one of his, which surprised me. I always considered him a man of good judgment and taste. But he said when he was doing those SEC games on CBS for all those years, and you were winning all those games, you were one of his all-time favorites to talk to in the production meeting.
Well, that was very kind of him. But I told him, and I went in after we had our last visit with the SEC on CBS team, and I said, thank y'all for telling our story for the last couple of years. You know, we visited with them for 12 hours.
He fell for that?
No, I just meant it. I mean, between him and Gary, we became friends. You know, we saw each other 6 times a year.
Don't go that far. Vern said Great appreciation for you. Vern told me a great story. First football game he ever saw was college football game was in this stadium. He was 12 years old in 1952. He was selling soft drinks for a nickel.
Really?
In the end zone.
That is so cool.
And then he said late in the second half he moved to a better seat and just sat and watched the game. What a career, what a life. Great to see he and Nancy looking well. She is every bit as delightful as her husband. Emmett Mosley the catch. The impressive day continues for Texas in all facets of this game. That's an 11-yard pickup for Mosley.
Just a completely dominant performance. And I think people will look at this and say, well, it's Vanderbilt. You and I have seen Vanderbilt now twice.
They don't want to see us again. They're going to be 7-0 with every other broadcasting team and 0-2 with us. So for all those announcer jinx people, have at it.
Yes, totally fair and reasonable. But this is a really good college football team. And I know that you would look back historically and it hasn't always been that way. That's not the case in 25. So this is a better performance I think most people would realize from the Texas Longhorns.
Well, I think they have a chance to continue to build a resume. I don't think this is fatal for their chances for the college football playoff. They have a pretty favorable schedule going forward through the Commodores, which we'll show you shortly. 12 straight drives without a punt, and it's looking like this one won't end with a punt either.
When you catch fire offensively, man, it's hard to put out. And Steve Sarkisian, you know he's excited about that opportunity to go back to Georgia and to get a win. They lost to him twice last year. The game in the SEC championship game was very competitive. They'll get a week to get their bearings right, hopefully get healthy and be ready to roll in Athens.
Yeah, they are enhancing their resume with this impressive win today. He felt like they should have beaten Ohio State in the opener. He said he made a couple of decisions that he would like to have back. Their other loss was at Florida, which won't look good on a resume. But he thinks that's one of the most talented rosters in the SEC, and I think a lot of the coaches around this conference would agree on that.
I think we're going to find out today, because I totally agree with that sentiment, and I think Georgia needs to be very careful today against a new interim coach, new play caller, and maybe a jump-started offense off the bye week.
Texas already 7 out of 9 on third down. Vanderbilt blitzing on this one. Single coverage. Mosley. Touchdown. Colby Taylor had the coverage. He's saying it was incomplete. The officials are conferring. But for now, it's the second touchdown of the day for Emmett Mosley, despite being held. And that's an incomplete pass.
Pretty clear that the ball goes through Mosley's hands and hits the ground, but a great effort and a pretty well thrown ball there by Arch. Just a little bit off the mark.
This one's going to get taken off the board.
That play is now under video review.
There should have been a flag on Taylor. Had a handful of his fellow number 3. They're going to review it. It shouldn't take long. 4:09 to go. Texas cruising to victory.
ABC College Football is presented by the Starbucks Coffee Company.
But while we were away, the cannon fire was for naught because the touchdown does not count. The replay review correctly deeming it to be an incomplete pass. Steve Sarkisian was all over the officials after the announcement because he thought there should have been pass interference, and he is correct.
Definitely a grab at the jersey, and that's what he's asking for, understandably.
Sorry, Steve, if we could look at that screen and throw a flag, yes, we would, but it's too late. So here's Mason Shipley. We'll try a 51-yarder. He's already made a couple from 39 and 37. He's been a terrific addition from Liberty Hill, Texas. Couldn't find an opportunity out of high school. No scholarship offers. Walked on at Oklahoma State, Texas State. Finally became their kicker. Became one of the best in the country. And right on cue, just the announcer jinx is just holding.
Yes.
With great regularity today. No good. 4:04 to go. 34-16. Texas. Here's a view from the progressive pylon camera. With 4:04 to go in the game. Our great crew forgot to get one of these in, and we owe Progressive one, so there's a very pretty picture from the Progressive pylon camera.
Yeah, I have no idea what play that was. I think it was a touchdown.
No, it was a catch in the end zone, it seemed.
Confirmed catch.
It was artistry in terms of camera work. A nice sunny day back then.
Beautiful.
A little cloudy now. Diego Pavia letting one fly. Busted coverage. This is going to be a touchdown for Eli Stowers. 67 yards. Wrong guy to leave all by himself. Looks like they're going for two again. Still brought to us by Dos Equis. Longest reception of Stowers' career. So there's a chance they're back within 2 scores, regardless of whether they get this or not. If they get this, it'd be a touchdown and a field goal down. Well, all their timeouts, the 2-minute stoppage. Pavia up to 257 passing, 2 touchdowns. And he's run for 52, and he would have had 82, but they've taken 30 yards off the total because of the sacks. To the goal line, ball extended, did not get there. Junior Sherrill reached for the pylon. Sensing another opportunity for the progressive pylon camera. Jalen Gilbo stopped the play.
This is a great throw, perfect. Progressive pylon cam shows you. Let's watch the ball extend.
No, sir.
Ooh, looks like it was short from that angle.
Just, nope, didn't get there. Great play by Gilbo.
Great play. Just inches short.
So now the question I would ask you, Mr. McElroy. Boy, bonus time. Oh boy, it just missed scraping that pylon. You know, if our crew had just waited, now I think we're over the progressive pylon camera allotment.
Both coaches preached patience all day to their quarterbacks, and we didn't display any. That's on us. We got to take the coaching.
I don't think you ever. Well,
so tough. And remember, it has to be indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt to overturn. And right
the
there,
ball, I don't think so.
It's so close.
I think Matt Austin has had a perfect day so far because we have not brought him in. He doesn't get paid unless he has an appearance. So, Matt, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, too.
Do you see anything? Do you think this is 2?
I think that view from the very top is not clear and obvious that it did not go across. I think the laces might have broken the plane. I don't see how they can overturn it.
Okay. You gave us like a quadruple negative there, but at the end we understood. By the way, Austin, Texas named after Matt Austin. For the one fact.
Interesting.
So Matt says you can't overturn it. Pavia is optimistic. In fact, he seems confident. David Allman is the replay official. Taking a good long look at this.
This is the look that is the most compelling to uphold.
Matt, what do you have to do? I mean, the pylon technically, right, is at the front. That would be like breaking the plane if you got it to the pylon, but he didn't.
Video review, the ruling on the field is upheld. The 2-point try is good.
Okay, like we said. Now I'm totally confused.
The fact that they even had a chance for the two-point conversion is mind-blowing. I want you to look at the technique of both corners here. One at the bottom, one at the top. You have a massive lead. You cannot let anybody get behind you. But if you look up top, Gilbo stays underneath a little bit, allows Stowers to get behind him. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have Cade Phillips, who's deeper than the deepest. You cannot allow a big play there. It's a busted coverage. It's poor technique. Safety needs to either be over the top, or the corner's got to be over the top, but nobody was, and it was a steal for Vandy.
Here's the onside kick try. Fielded by Parker Livingston. A good play by him. That took a tricky late hop. It's still 3:53 to go. Vanderbilt with all their timeouts. And the 2-minute stoppage. It looked like it was going to be a cruise to victory not long ago. Is now a tight one for the Horns, up by 10.
I think Steve Sarkisian, though, is probably deep down. He's going to animate on the sideline, but he'll be able to go into the meeting tomorrow with his defense and say 2 touchdowns were given to Vanderbilt by poor alignment and defensive issues. Those have to be cleaned up against quality competition.
Flag down on first down.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense, number 53. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. That carries an automatic first down.
Right there, and just another big mistake by Vanderbilt. Another penalty, this time on the defense. You get a stop, you got to go to 3 and out, you got to force them. Instead, you give them a free 15 because your defensive tackle had the hands of the face of an offensive lineman.
Here's Baxter again. At the very least, back in field goal range. 7-yard run. And Vanderbilt's going to start using its timeouts. Now, the replay booth told our TV truck that the reason that they deemed that to be a successful 2-point try is they felt that the pylon camera, and then there is the signal on the field, so we didn't see that official because he was kind of buried in among the cheerleaders, but he's immediately calling it a successful try for 2. Now, it looked like from the replays we saw that the ball never got to the pylon or over, but they're saying because that pylon camera is a little bit offset and is a little bit behind the goal line, they think if they had a view straight down the line, it would have been. Now, I don't know how they figure that out.
I don't know how you could tell from that angle.
And that's why they upheld the call, I guess, because the call was good for 2. Based on the placement of the camera, they tell us they upheld the call. We almost made it through without a replay or officiating issue. I have to say, since that was the call on the field, and there wasn't, according to them, conclusive evidence, I still never, I don't know, it's like sleight of hand. It never looked like that ball got to the pylon.
The only one to me that looked like maybe the laces was the shot that was a little bit high. It looked like as he reached out, maybe the laces did graze the plane, and with it being called on the field the way it was called, maybe they just didn't feel like there was enough evidence to overturn.
And the official who made the call immediately looked like he was right on the line.
Yeah.
So his angle apparently better than the pylon cam. All of a sudden, the progressive pylon cam went from, oops, we forgot to get it in, to dominating the game in the telecast. But the official was right on the line, called it immediately. They got it right, we think. But it's a big play. Even bigger, the recovery of the onside kick and the moving of the ball and the time consumption here by the Texas offense. Third down and 2. Vandy showing blitz. They're saying an offensive lineman moved.
False start on the offense, number 73. That's a 5-yard penalty. It remains third down.
Brandon Baker, the right tackle, called for the penalty.
It looked like as a defender was getting ready to run right up the middle. You see just a flinch by the left side, and 73 and 52, not a ton of movement there, but call nonetheless.
The proceedings have been bogged down a little bit.
It's been a bit of a wacky ending, hasn't it?
Yeah. So it's back on the 32-yard line. Texas had a touchdown called back on a good call. Was not a catch. There should have been a pass interference penalty that wasn't. Then they missed a field goal. For a few seconds, there were 40 points on the board for Texas. The quick strike touchdown by Vanderbilt made it a 10-point game. And a timeout, leaving Vandy with 1. Today's college football rankings brought to us by Chick-fil-A. Ohio State pulled away from Penn State. Texas A&M and Alabama, the 2 teams remaining in the SEC who are undefeated in conference, play both idle Georgia and Florida next.
Could be an interesting day. I mean, you look at Miami in a dogfight right now on the road at SMU. I think Georgia and Florida is going to be very competitive. I think Florida's a lot better than people realize. And then one other one, Georgia Tech on the road at NC State tonight. I really like this Georgia Tech team a lot, but that might be one of the toughest places to play in the ACC at night. So that'd be a tricky road game against an improved NC State football team.
So 4th and 6. Sarkisian leaves the offense on the field from the 31-yard line. Trying to get it. Movement, they got it. A lot of finger pointing. The crowd and the Longhorns convinced it's going against Vanderbilt. Did we say the game had slowed down a bit?
And by slowed it down a bit, meaning hit a wall.
It's come to a screeching halt. It's in reverse. Okay, so now do you still go for it? Because if you don't get this, you turn the ball over to Vanderbilt at the 37-yard line. Would you be?
I'd punt it.
Yeah, would you pooch it down, try to get it inside the 10? Looks like that's what they're going to do.
Maybe take another delay a game and give yourself a little more room. After your kicker already missed one, I'd play field position and play prevent defense the rest of the way.
That one called on DJ Campbell. Must be the first punt in 14 possessions on offense. Now the Vanderbilt players saying the center's simulating the snap, but the umpire's over the ball.
Yeah, well, Niblett ran on late for Texas, so they were giving the defense an opportunity to substitute if they wanted to, so they were standing right on top of it.
There is no foul for false start. We were in substitution mechanics, therefore the ball was not ready for play. It was 4th down.
And that's why the umpire was standing over the ball. These people are perplexed.
I've seen cleaner final 4 minutes for sure.
So they're going to punt, we think. Jack Bomeister, the transfer from Utah, and a fair catch made by Martell Height. 27-yard punt. So 3:04 to go. No timeouts for Vandy. They do have the 2-minute stoppage.
Right here.
Pavia family enjoying it.
Still very much engaged, obviously knowing their son's going to go all the way to the end. Until that clock hits 0, he will give it his all. But you got to expect Texas to play prevent defense. What they did on the last possession was inexcusable.
Diego Pavia's mom, Antoinette, said he is so appreciative of what she has done for him. Raised by a single mom, he said, we didn't have a whole lot, but every time we needed something, she found a way to make it happen. Cedric Alexander on the right hip as the running back. They faked it to him. Look out. He sidestepped the rush, throws into a crowd, incomplete. And of course, at this juncture, you have to take some chances. He did try to get it to Stowers, who was double covered. I know it's not that time consuming, but you still need the play action fake down by this much.
No, I don't think you're going to have much respect for the run defensively. And Pavia takes a big shot there at the end. So the onus in a situation like this is on the tackles, because you know who's coming off the left-hand side. That's Colin Simmons, number 1. Impact felt in a big way earlier in the game, and he's going to try to close it out.
Very close to being a late hit on Brad Spence. 2:56 to go. And that pass is too high for Stowers. That's one of those you might be better off not completing. It's a 4-yard gain. Given the situation, the clock likely to keep running would not have been very helpful. 3rd down and 10. Offensive line communicating to center Jordan White, doing some gesturing. They were overloaded to the offensive line's right, and they get another sack from that spot from Ethan Burke. 6-time Pavia has been sacked. That's twice as many in any other game of his career at New Mexico State or Vanderbilt. And they're down to one last chance, 4th and 19, and they're taking forever to run the play. They're still in the huddle with 10 seconds to go.
You know what's coming here. It's full all-out pass rush by Colin Simmons and company. They'll line up everybody to the left, which will give Colin Simmons a ton of opportunity to the right.
Pavia got a good block from Alexander in the end zone. There's a wide open receiver, a lot of dancing, and he still got the first down. Junior Sherrill keeps hope faintly alive on that Vanderbilt sideline and among their fans in the stands. 22-yard gain on 4th and 19 out of their own end zone. Xavier Filsaime is the injured Longhorn. 2-minute timeout. .154 to go. Diego Pavia and his mates pull off a 4th and 19 out of their own end zone to keep hope alive. Rain starting to fall here in Austin. From their 23, down by 10, 1:50 to go. Pavia, another open receiver. Junior Sherrill to midfield. They're out of timeouts. They got the stoppage to move the chains. 27-yard completion to Sherrill. Pavia is over 300 yards passing now at 305. Both QBs over 300. Down the middle. Stowers the catch. And now you get to that point, Greg, you've mentioned it before. Do you keep going for the touchdown, or you kick a field goal and try the onside kick at some point?
With Texas on their heels and their best pass rusher out the field, I'd go for offense.
Keep going. Pavia wrapped up, threw it incomplete in the direction of Stowers. Brad Spence was there again. They'll give him a chance to huddle with 1:28 to go. 6 sacks for Texas. There's Brock Taylor. excellent kicker at his first miss of the year. That looms a little larger now.
I think when you start to think about that field goal at the end of the game to make it a 7-point game, that's really under 40 seconds or so. So plenty of time to still run your offense. The big key for Pavia, ball has to come out. A sack kills you in this situation.
He had been sacked 7 times in their first 8 games of the season, 6 times in this one game today. Texas leading the nation now in sacks. Batted pass by Trey Moore. 3rd down and 10. Three-man rush. They got close to him. He got it off for another first down. Inside the 20. Richie Hoskins tackled by Anthony Hill. They'll put it right on the 20-yard line. They set the chains. The clock winds again.
Now you got to go hyperspeed and find Stowers.
Down the seam to the 5-yard line. Eli Stowers. Tackled by Derek Williams.
Now you can move the pocket, sprint the quarterback to his right, give him the run pass option, see if you can find someone in the flat.
They were on their 2-yard line, 4th and 19. Now they're on the doorstep at the other end. Pavia throws it away. Flag down. Crowd thought they saw a hold. And they did.
Holding on the offense, number 55. It's a 10-yard penalty for the previous stop with the replay of first down.
Bryce Henderson, the right tackle.
He's on the right side, working against the defensive end. Henderson, it looked like things there for a minute. He was engaged well, and then as Pavia began to stretch to his right, he grabs the collar of Trey Moore,
who sold it very well too. That's why it was so obvious to the people in the stadium. So they're back on the 15-yard line. 350 passing for Pavia is a career high. New Mexico State and Vanderbilt.
And Texas needs to double Stowers here. He's the problem in the red zone.
They have an open receiver in the flat. MK Young. That one does not help Vandy. Stayed in bounds. The clock's running.
Stowers is right here. He's the guy.
40 seconds to go. Pavia needs to get rid of it. Does. Back in the end zone. Touchdown. My goodness. Richie Hoskins. What a drive. It was this in reverse for Steve Sarkisian last week when they were 17 down with under 10 minutes to go, rallied to win in overtime. Their biggest come from behind win since 2007. Now with the crowd looking on in disbelief, Taylor trying to make it a field goal game with an onside kick to come. 21 unanswered points for Diego Pavia in front of his mom and many friends and loved ones.
A notable omission along the defensive line for the Texas Longhorns. There is no Colin Simmons. So Pavia knows he has a little extra time. He knows he can buy time and work to his right and find a guy in the back of the end zone. So a notable absence there for the Texas defensive line without an All-American on the field in an obvious passing situation, and Pavia took advantage.
Pavia on the drive threw for 108 yards because of penalties and a sack. 7 for 11 for 108. He's up to 365 on 27 out of 38. Yeah, I know he's a little bit of a lightning rod, but I would love watching that guy play.
Man, he is so fun to watch. Just refuses to give up.
Oh, and he's such a battler, and his Competitiveness is infectious. Now a must-have onside kick. And Steve Sarkisian called a timeout just as Taylor was starting toward the ball. 21 points for Vanderbilt here in the fourth quarter. 12-play drive, 89 yards, 2 minutes, 31 seconds. Diego Pavia.
He is just electric, man. I mean, so fun to watch that young man, and I mean, he refuses to quit under any circumstances. And here on the onside kick, they tried Livingston last time. He was the guy they went after. He handled it beautifully. Did they kick it back towards Livingston, or do they maybe change directions and go the other way?
I don't think they went after him. I just think they tried to pooch it and run under it, and he happened to be the nearest guy. There are defensive players out there. There are other people. If you're trying to test somebody's hands, you kick it too. They hit it right to Livingston, and he missed the ball. It's free on the ground. And did it go out of bounds? Oh, Vanderbilt had all kinds of chances at it. Did they corral it in bounds? Longhorns are saying no. We haven't seen a signal. Now we are from the officials. It was there for the taking right in front of their sideline, and they couldn't squeeze it.
The ruling on the field is that the ball was touched in bounds. However, the ball went out of bounds with no player in possession. Therefore, it's Texas's ball at the out of bounds spot, first down.
Wow, what a moment there at the end. They went with a slightly different technique. They didn't go on the second bounce. They kick a hard ground ball at Livingston. It goes through his legs and goes out of bounds.
Hoskins had his hands on it. He couldn't corral it. Then at the very end along the sideline, Langston Patterson, who's a linebacker, desperately trying to corral it while it was still in bounds. You could see his frustration as he didn't. Rinaldi lunging forward as well. Wow. And if they recovered it there, they are one short throw away from a field goal try to tie it. As valiant as you can be in defeat. In the end, Steve Sarkisian's team hangs on for its fourth straight win in conference play. They go to 7-2 overall, 4-1 in the SEC. And Vanderbilt now also 7-2. They are 3-2 in the SEC. Here's Molly.
Coach, Vanderbilt threatened, but your team hung on, and you told us your quarterback Arch Manning needed to play his best ball in November. Why and how do you think he's playing his best right now?
Well, first of all, we're always going to make things interesting around here, I guess. But nice to make it a little easier. But I just thought Arch played a great game. You know, he got through his reads. He was checking the ball down. He took advantage throws when we were there. Just played really in command football, and that's what it takes, you know. And you know, he's been growing and getting better all year, and this was his best game.
Congrats on the win, Coach. Thank you. Sean.
You can see by his reaction, the happenings at the end have certainly diminished. It looked like it was going to be a rousing victory. But at this time of the year, the victory is the most important thing. And Manning had another terrific day, threw for 328 yards. Final score, Texas 34, Vanderbilt 31. For Greg McElroy, Molly McGrath, and our great crew led by Brian Ryder and Jeff Evers, Sean McDonough, so long from Austin. Let's send you back to the studio.